What I have here is a very basic topology. We have the client and the web server. Now, assuming that the client can reach the web server, okay, via TCP port 80, what we'll do is it will do the TCP three-way handshake. So TCP SYN, SYN-ACK, and ACK. Okay, so this is the TCP three-way handshake. Now, once this is complete, it will create a session, and this guy here, the client, will send HTTP request. Now, the web server will process it, and if it's ready, it will reestablish the connection, and it will send an HTTP response. Now, this HTTP response, it consists of many web files, okay? But the most common is the HTML file. So this is HTML. Now, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, okay? And that is the very simple process of client-server communication. Now, let's focus on the web server. Now, on the web server side, we have basic requirements. Okay, so let's specify here basic or minimum requirements. So first we have the web server, of course, and web server may vary, depends on your preference. Web server can be Apache, like what I mentioned from previous video. This is the most well known because it has been available for decades already. But if you want to have the more advanced web server software, I would recommend Nginx. For those Microsoft servers, Microsoft Windows servers, it's more compatible with IIS. So these are the web servers. You may choose one of these. And one of the basic requirement as well is the index file. So sometimes this is index.html, and this is the default home page. Okay, so I will add default home page. There you go. Now, when I say default home page, if you run Apache or Nginx or IIS, there's already an index file. Okay, and this is what it shows. And obviously, you will use the default index file for testing purposes. Okay, you will change this when you build your web application. Now, take note, this index file is a static page. Okay, it's a static page. Again, this is not what you will be using when you build your web application file. Now, speaking of building a web application, you will be using what we call the web development platform or web development stack. Now, there are many options for web development stack. Okay, this is used when you're building your web application, but the most popular is LAMP. Okay, again, this is the web development platform or stack. Now, let's talk about LAMP or LAMP in more detail. So first, we have the L. Okay, and let's move this a little on the top. So the first one is L, stands for Linux. Now, Linux is the operating system. Okay, and it is not obvious. Linux is the operating system. It's actually the operating system of choice on most servers. Okay, next is A. A stands for Apache, and we've already mentioned here Apache is the web server. Now, it's not just a web server, it can also do many things. Okay, it has many features. But before I mention the features, by default it's listening to TCP port 80. Features available such as compression, caching, and also it has security features as well. Okay, and next to Apache is M, stands for MySQL. Now, MySQL, this is the database. This is where our data is stored. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is I will add a database in our topology. I will add it here. Okay. I will name it DB. And this database, like what I mentioned, this is where our data is stored. Now, if you imagine the database consists of many tables. Okay, so the tables looks like this. Okay, and if you can't imagine, this is like spreadsheets where you have many columns or many fields and multiple rows as well. Okay, so I'm gonna add more tables here. Okay, so these are where our data is stored. Okay, now MySQL database, it comes with a freeware version, and it can also comes with a license with support version. Okay, and operate same with Linux operating system. Okay, and the some of the web server options as well. Now, the final piece of software starts with P. Now, many people think it's only PHP. P stands for PHP, but no. Yes, at first it was PHP, but many organization prefers a different programming language, not PHP, but Perl or Python. But initially, the P was PHP. All right, so PHP, this is the application. Okay, it's not just the application, it's also the programming language. And script. Okay, now PHP, this is the one who connects to the database. So this is the application that connects to the database. I'm gonna add another component here, another piece. This is the app PHP. Okay, and like what I mentioned, this is the one who connects to the database. So here it connects to the database. Now, when it connects to the database, it can pull or push information. So think about PHP is the one out is the most important piece to make our web pages dynamic. So we don't want the static pages. We want the pages to be dynamic. Okay, and here's an example. If someone registers for a new user, okay, what will happen is the PHP application connects to the database, and it push configuration, not configuration, it push data to the database server. So it doesn't only push, but it also pull data to and from the database. Okay. Now PHP also consists of command syntax, and of course, if you think about command syntax, this may vary from if else, loop, many variables, etc. And one thing that I would like to mention, PHP is executed on the server side. So once the PHP is executed, okay, it connects to the database, it pulls database information. It will be executed on the server side, and it will send it sends HTML files, or should I say PHP converted to HTML files to the client as the HTTP response. Okay. Now, these are the components of a LAMP stack, and maybe we are thinking, we heard a script called JavaScript. Is it part of the LAMP stack? No, JavaScript may run on the client side. Okay, it doesn't need to be. Actually, it won't. At least in the LAMP stack or in this design, it doesn't run on the server side. So let's talk about JavaScript, shall we? So this is JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript. This is an additional script, and it actually adds complex things. And maybe you're thinking, why do you want to add complex things in our web application? Well, this helps our website to look better. And I will add helps web application to look better. And if you're thinking, how does it help to look our websites or web application look better? Well, it actually the one who provides 2D or 3D objects or images. It can do or it can process interactive maps. Okay, what else? Interactive communication. Some web-based applications with chatting or messaging, those are created with the use of JavaScripting. Okay, what else? It can also include content updates and many more. Okay, and like what I mentioned, JavaScript is executed on the client side. Executed on the client side. Now here's an example. Um, so what happens is the PHP or the application is sent to the client as an HTTP response. This HTML, okay, it is converted from PHP to HTML. Now this may also include JavaScript. Okay, it may include JavaScript, and from the client web browser, so let's say this is the web browser, you will see HTML codes, and you may also see and include JavaScript. So if you look at if you do the view source of the web page, you will not only see HTML codes, you may also see JavaScript command syntax as well, such as if, else, etc.